How cool is that? Guy who hasn't been playing much lately and only a 58% free throw shooter, and he calmly hits the front end.
10 points, 9 rebounds the first time these two teams played. It's not a surprise that Frank Martin has confidence in Wally in this game. The surprising fact is just how little he's played since those 10 points and 9 rebounds. Looked pretty solid.
Sure did. Back to a 9-point advantage for the Jayhawks. Here comes Collins on the fly. Numbers weren't there. He pulled it back out and then fires a three that was partially deflected. Aldridge trying to save it, but goes out of bounds.
That's a bad shot.
The Big 12 Conference invites you to purchase NCAA Division I men's basketball first and second round championship tickets to the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma site. It could be both Kansas and Kansas State going there. The 6 games take place Thursday and Saturday, March 18th and 20th at the Ford Center in Oklahoma City.
Still in the triangle in 2.
Kansas State seems to be a little bit confused by this. Tipped by Reed, saved by Pullen. Pullen with a long three. Wow.
Wow is right. Boy, that was from the left foot of the Jayhawk on the floor.
Oh, man.
Talk about range.
First 3 hit by the Wildcats. 9 points for Pullen. Inside.
Oh,
what a block by Judge.
What a block by Wally Judge.
Poked away Collins, held, and that'll be an intentional call against Clemente.
Markieff Morris did such a nice job of walking the defensive player up the lane after the three-pointer by Jacob Pullen. But watch to the right of your screen, Wally Judge with a great reaction. Boy, that is terrific defense.
No rust on that kid.
No, I'll tell you what, remember in college you can pin the ball on the backboard as long as you take it to the backboard. If the ball's already touched up there, you can no longer go up and pin it. I thought they called it intentional.
I thought so too. They did. No question, Vern Harris called an intentional foul, but now they're saying this is a 1-and-1.
Huh. I think this is the right call. I mean, what happened, it's a loose ball. Denny Clemente and Sherron Collins were both taken off for it. Sherron had the angle, and Denny tried to just wrap his arms around his waist to pull him back. So it wasn't that he was intentionally trying to foul him. They were just running for a loose ball. So I think this is the right call, but I'm with you. I sure thought that
he did call it. I think Mark Whitehead and Mike Sanzier saw what you saw, and that it was still a loose ball, and you can't call an intentional foul that way. Collins, by the way, hits both ends of the 1-and-1.
Well, that's the spot right there where Merriweather got the ball against the triangle in 2. Right there, the elbows are where you want to attack the triangle.
Interesting, too. Kelly comes in playing with 2 fouls. Also, Xavier Henry is checked in for KU playing with 2 fouls.
Well, Xavier got off to such an outstanding start. That doesn't surprise me. It's a little early to put him in. Boy, if I'm Kansas State, whoever Xavier's guarding, I'd go right at him.
Henry with a couple of screens paving the way.
That play was set up by a great duck-in move by Cole Aldridge. Ended up screening off the defense for a driving lane. Watch in the middle. Watch him turn and seal for the driving lane to come around to the basket. He turns, ducks in, turns his body, and seals him right there. You see him even put his arm out there and kind of get a little piece of Curtis Kelly as he went by as well. What a great fundamental play by Cole Aldridge.
And a huge development here, Reed, and that Kelly picks up his 3rd foul and goes right back to the bench.
Well, we got a chess match with 8 minutes to go here in the first half with foul trouble on both benches.
Henry can't complete the 3-point play, but Aldridge gets the long rebound. Taylor again going right around on the screen from Aldridge.
What a beautiful step to the basket by Tyshawn Taylor.
And the Hills are alive with the sound of Jayhawk fans again.
Watch the step to the basket by Tyshawn Taylor. Just how under control he is. A beautiful rejection of the screen. And then he just takes a big, long, swooping step around Wally Judge. What a great move. And boy, that'll put you looking down, all the guys on the bench looking down at the floor.
So here are the Jayhawks, a 10-point advantage in this game. Plus, they're really starting to get some of those key Wildcats in foul trouble.
If you're the Wildcats over there, Frank, boy, it would behoove you to try to pick up that third foul on Xavier Henry. Whoever he's guarding, I would do a dribble drive and attack him. See if you can't get Xavier to pick up 3 as well.
Well, you got Samuels for K-State with 2. Dominique Sutton with 2. And don't forget about Curtis Kelly. He's got 3 fouls and most likely won't play again this half.
Still a little surprised, and I bet Frank Martin is too. Cole Aldridge still isn't getting any touches. I mean, it's almost like the Jayhawks just forget about him, and Cole Aldridge can dominate the game on both ends of the floor, but boy, the big fella's got to have the ball to do it.
He's only taken 1 shot in this game, has no points.
If I'm Bill Self, I would draw up a play and get that ball in his hands.
Clemente. That's a foul on Tyshawn Taylor.
That's a pretty good job of moving his feet out there on the perimeter. That time he had both hands out, and you know, I've agreed with all the other fouls out there on the perimeter, but that time Tyshawn had his hands back and did a pretty nice job of moving his feet and cutting off Denny Clemente.
1-and-1 opportunity for Clemente. That's the 9th team foul on the Jayhawks. He won't get the bonus. And Markieff Morris has come off the bench and had a great first half. 8 points and 4 rebounds.
Nice double team in recovery.
Poked away, Samuels, then threw it off of Morris. But they're going to give it back to the Jayhawks with 7:56 remaining in the first half. A 10-point Jayhawk lead. We'll be back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Sherron Collins just 1 for 4 so far in this game, but he does have a half dozen points. I think right now, Reed, we're seeing the development of turnovers in this contest, and they're playing a huge role.
Yeah, Kansas with 11 points off of 7 turnovers, and you mentioned it earlier how successful this year Kansas State, Denny Clemente, has been with points off turnovers so far in this game. 0 points off of just 1 turnover for the Kansas Jayhawks.
How about 7 turnovers for K-State? No assists.
That's not a very good ratio. Frank Martin's got to be concerned, and really I think it's just a struggle to figure out how to attack that triangle in 2, and a lot of things happening off of the dribble and not coming off screens and not getting any shots out of the sets.
And now his leading scorer, Jacob Pullen, has just picked up his 2nd foul as Collins goes back to the line.
I've never seen Sherron Collins shoot a free throw like that. He's not following through. Let's go with that ball and that hand sticking straight up in the air instead of taking it over the front of the rim and sticking it in. I've never seen him do that.
Jayhawks matching their biggest lead of the game. Samuels, that's a foul. And a hard foul by Markieff Morris.
Boy, talk about no weak side defense at all. Jamar Samuels all by himself. Look at Xavier Henry. He has no idea where the ball is. He's looking up the court and, boy, attacked the basket. And that was awful close to an intentional foul.
First foul on Morris. Going to the line, Samuels.
It's interesting. Bill Self just stood up and yelled at Xavier Henry and held his hands up like, what were you looking at? I mean, the ball's out there and it's running right at your back.
Samuels, a 54% free throw shooter.
You know what the assistants say to the head coach when a mistake like that's made?
What do they say?
Freshman. Freshman. Come on, Bill. Everything's all right. He's just a freshman.
fairly special freshman, though, wouldn't you say?
Yes, he is. There's about 230 Division I coaches going, I'd like that freshman.
That's one of the areas where Xavier Henry has gotten better this year, driving to the bucket.
Now, he is so strong in his upper body, he has the ability to absorb contact and still finish the play.
Clemente pulls up. Nice move by Denny Clemente, and he might have been fouled as well.
Yeah, that might have been an offensive foul. Denny Clemente put his right forearm right across the waist of Tyshawn Taylor and shoved him off to create that space. A 1-2-2 zone for the first time by Kansas State.
So where do you attack this?
Yeah, right in the middle, high post. It's like a donut. See right where Xavier Henry just flashed?
Knocked out of bounds by K-State.
They've watched Denny Clemente's right arm and see if he doesn't shove off. He's dribbling, see him put it up right here. He shoves him off, and you see Tyshawn Taylor still falling back. And it doesn't take much separation for Denny Clemente to be able to pull the trigger on a jump shot.
.13 on the shot clock for the Jayhawks, inbounding the ball from underneath their own hoop.
Oh my goodness, what a screen.
Tie-up call between Judge and Markeith Morris. This time the arrow gives the ball to the Jayhawks.
I did not see who Xavier Henry just hit, but you talk about a physical screen. Watch this back screen right here. Oh, it's Samuels. Boy, I mean, you talk about hitting somebody.
The shot clock does not reset. It's at 5. The lob inside. Aldridge. Bump maybe from behind. Magruder!
That's how you finish. Speaking of freshmen, boy, Cole Aldridge is so wide open and nobody's even looking at him. He's doing a great job sealing when that ball's on the offside. Look at him sealing and just, they're not even looking for him.
Again, no points for Aldridge in this game. He's taken only one shot.
But do you see Xavier Henry? I mean, they're dribbling around the perimeter and not even looking.
Sherron Collins has it stuffed again by Magruder. Clemente to Pullen for 3. Timeout, Kansas. The Wildcats up and applauding. Kansas State on a run here. They've scored the last 7 points of this contest.
The all starts with good defense. Denny Clemente finding Rodney Magruder with a strong finish, and Clemente again finding Jacob Pullen out in the wing for the 3. And Denny Clemente doing a very nice job taking care of the ball, making good decisions in transition.
Coach Martin loves it when his team takes threes in the transition game. That's a big part of their offense.
Well, you do that only if you've got big guys that can run the floor and go rebound, because what you don't want is pulling up for threes in transition and nobody's down there. Frank knows that his guys can run the floor. Jamar Samuels and Curtis Kelly, they can get down there and get rebounds.
Read that last graphic showed you how Kansas State struggled early, but now they seem to have found their rhythm just a little bit, and this 7-0 run has them squarely right back in the middle of this game. That's the one thing you know about Kansas State. They just don't go away.
You may eventually beat them up,
right?
But you better bring a sack lunch, because you'll be fighting all day long. Very interesting. They've gone on this run since they went to a zone. They were in a 1-2-2. Now they're in a 2-3. Now it's really a 2-1-2. Only Judge coming up high in the middle.
With Judge really working hard on Aldridge.
Yeah, he is. Doing a great job.
Henry fouled by Cologne.
That is a really tough matchup with Luis Cologne out there on the perimeter. He's out there about 20 feet trying to guard Xavier Henry. And, boy, that's difficult for that big fella to move his feet well enough side to side to stay in between Xavier and the basket.
When Cologne came back after not playing the first couple of months, I think that really solidified what the Wildcats can do. He doesn't offer a lot of points, but he's one of those glue guys for K-State.
He's so strong in his lower body. You know who he reminds me of? Chuck Hayes, that played at Kentucky and now for the Houston Rockets. He's so strong in his lower body that you just can't dislodge him. You're not going to get in there and move him out.
Henry with 12 points in this first half. So those two from the line stop that 7-0 run. Judge, tough shot over Aldridge.
Oh, man, I'm not sure he had control of that ball when he shot it. How good does Wally Judge look here in the first half?
4 points for Judge. He's played 8 minutes. He's been averaging 3 minutes a game. Henry, a three-pointer. Judge, again. Boy, it looked good too, didn't it?
Well, he is overflowing with confidence.
Sure is.
Not sure why, but it's good for Kansas State that he is.
Well, he had a huge game against the Jayhawks in the first one with 10 points, 9 rebounds. The lob inside. What a pass again from Marcus Morris. Aldridge with his first points of the game.
Yeah, the ball went to the high post and the zone pinched and nobody had Cole on the baseline.
Shot clock at 10. Cohen has it blocked. Magruder from the short corner.
Nice job by Jacob Pullen, keeping that dribble alive and not allowing a 5-second count. Kansas State back to this 1-2-2, trying to match up out on the wings a little bit better. One, 2-2 just leaves that high post wide open. Look for Kansas to get the ball to Marcus Morris.
Three-pointer. That's short of the target. Pullen pulls up for three. In transition, they love that play.
Jacob Pullen just has ridiculous range. I mean, in transition, he's pulling up 5 feet before he gets to the three-point line.
15 points for Pullen on 3 of 5 shooting from three-point land. Morris has it blocked. Good block inside. Was that Judge or Magruder? One of those two got it. Clemente throws one up. And there's Judge! Wow!
Oh, man. Woo! Wally Judge, welcome to the party. My goodness. Watch how high up in the air Wally Judge is, coming right down the pipe. Nobody saw him. Boy, that is a good-looking freshman.
Well, it's been a game of runs over the last couple of minutes. Kansas State had a 7-0 run. Kansas answered with a 5-0 run. And now Kansas State back on a 6-2 run. And this is as close as this game has been since the first 3 minutes of the contest. Wally Judge, again, this is a guy who scored 10 points and had 9 rebounds against Kansas. In the 7 games since, he had scored a total of 3 points.
Total, not an average.
No, not an average. A total of 3 points, and he has 6 here in the first half.
See, that's why I made the comment. Why does he come out in this game and have so much confidence? I mean, you almost think, well, that's youth for you. I mean, there's no reason for him to have the confidence, but because he does, and because he's playing with confidence, already 6 points in the first half.
And you wonder, will he be able to play off of this game and build on it as they get down into tournament time? Reed throws one up. That won't go. Samuels has the rebound.
You wonder if he'd have even had the opportunity but for the foul trouble of Curtis Kelly.
Kansas State has done a great job again on the glass. They're out rebounding the Jayhawks 17-11. And a blocking foul on Kansas State. This one called on Samuels. We've got a timeout. The Jayhawks had a lead of 13 once upon a time. It's down to 4. The Big 12 Network and ESPN would like to thank our corporate partners, Phillips 66, Geico, Gatorade, and XM Satellite Radio. Well, the Wildcats, who started off 1 for 6 from the field, are now hitting 57% from the field in this first half. And one of the guys, the verdict is in on Wally Judge.
You asked me when Curtis Kelly got in foul trouble, how big a difference does this make? It makes a big difference because Wally Judge might not have gotten an opportunity, and he's been outstanding. 6 points, he's got 2 rebounds, he's blocked a shot, but more importantly, he has brought an energy to the floor for the Kansas State Wildcats.
You hate to say 3 fouls on Kelly, a blessing in disguise for the Wildcats, but it's turned out that way.
I mean, who'd have thunk that?
Yeah, exactly. So now here is Marcus Morris at the line. Both teams in the double bonus the rest of the half.
Let's watch coming out of this timeout. Frank Martin needs to make an adjustment. His 1-2-2 zone. Every time the ball gets into the paint, everyone pinches in and collapses on the ball, and nobody's guarding someone running the baseline.
Clemente hangs onto the ball, looks for Judge. Cullen has been special in this first half, helping keep K-State in this game with 15 first half points. Shot clock down to 9. Clemente pulls up a 3 that's well short. There's Judge again. Blocked though. Markeith Morris with a block. Collins for 3. Long rebound, Magruder. And Taylor stepped in on Clemente and bumped him down at midcourt. That's a foul on Taylor, his second. Don't forget, coming up on the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report inside Studio 66, I'll tell you about the Big 12 Player of the Week. We'll look ahead at the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship, and we'll have analysis from Mr. Geddes of that first half of play. So here comes Clemente to the line. He has a half dozen points. 0 for 1 from the line in this game. Well, he was bumped hard there by Taylor.
He was a little bit rattled. I can't tell whether he got a thigh bruise or what, but he's really taken a lot of time to collect himself. Vinny Clemente started off this season struggling so much, but as he did last year, it's surprising he's been so much better against the better competition. He's at his best against the best, and non-conference, he's averaging just 13 points per game. In Big 12 action, he has bumped up that average to 18 points per game. You know, this is almost a perfect half for Frank Martin. I mean, they've come out, they've played well. They didn't start off shooting great 1 for 6, but it wasn't anything like they did against Missouri in their last game, and well, they're close at halftime.
A 3-pointer, though, from Tyrell Reed. The Jayhawks are 4 for 11 from 3-point range. Knocked out of bounds. And it was tipped up by Collins. It'll stay with K-State. There's a 6-second differential between the shot and the game clock. You'd have to say both coaches, Reed, did a good job in managing the foul trouble in the first half.
There were some tough decisions to make early on in this game.
Clemente goes around Morningstar. Jayhawks can go for the last shot. Collins gets into the paint. first half comes to a close. The Jayhawks raced out to a 13-point advantage in this one. But Kansas State came roaring back. And now with the head coach of the Jayhawks, Bill Self, here's Melissa Knowles.
Coach, you talked about your team maintaining their emotions throughout that first half. What's your analysis of how they did?
I thought we played pretty well. You know, they're good. And we missed some shots, I think, in tight that we normally make and did a decent job on the glass. But both teams had to play out a foul problem, so maybe both teams will relax a little bit this half.
We haven't seen you go inside to Cole Aldridge but one time that entire first half. Will that change in the second half?
Well, I hope so. He's got to become more of a presence. And when they went zone, we did a poor job of attacking it. But Cole's also got to go make some plays, too.
Good luck in the second half. Thanks, Coach. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks. Good question. You talked about Cole Aldridge really not getting many touches inside for the Jayhawks, and still Kansas has this lead at halftime. So we'll come back with the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report. Two good friends, Frank Martin and Bill Self, going head-to-head here tonight in what is turning into a Sunflower Showdown Classic.
As athletes and students, they dreamed of victory and achievement. As soldiers and citizens, they dream of freedom and prosperity. But it's not about the dream. It's how you live that dream. So, to the men and women of the armed forces, the Big 12 Conference and its 12-member institutions salute you. Thank you, because by living your dreams, you give us the freedom to live our dreams. The Big 12 Conference. Live the dream.
Welcome to the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report inside Studio 66 from Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Halftime between the second-ranked Kansas Jayhawks and the fifth-ranked Wildcats of Kansas State. Let's take a look at our Phillips 66 Player of the Week. It's James Anderson of the Cowboys. The junior guard averaged 20.5 points and 7 rebounds in 2 games last week, including a victory over top-ranked Kansas. Despite foul trouble and a bad back, he also scored 14 points in a loss at Texas while grabbing 6 boards. Against Kansas, he scored 27 and had 8 rebounds. He shot 48% in that game, including 4 of 6 from behind the three-point arc. Anderson also made 5 of 6 free throws and had 3 assists. Boy, what more could one guy do for you? Congratulations to James Anderson, this week's Phillips 66 Player of the Week. We'll come back to Lawrence, Kansas in a moment after this word from your friends at Phillips 66.
Your car works hard for you. Give it the fuel it wants. The hard-working gas from Phillips 66, specially formulated to clean fuel injectors, reduce emissions, and above all, help maximize mileage with every tank. Keep your car satisfied and help maximize mileage with Phillips 66, hard-working gas.
Welcome back to the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report inside Studio 66 from Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, where the Kansas Jayhawks leading the fifth-ranked Wildcats of Kansas State 45-38. This week's Classroom Champ brought to you by Phillips 66. When it comes to convenience and value, it's the top of his class. And tonight we've got to honor Cole Aldridge of the Kansas Jayhawks. He is ESPN The Magazine Coach-Sida Academic All-American of the Year, the second Jayhawk to be so honored. The other one, Jacques Vaughn. So our congratulations go out to Cole Aldridge, tonight's Phillips 66 Classroom Champion. If the season ended right now, and there's a lot to be decided yet, this is how the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship bracket would look. And again, there's a logjam, especially between 3 and 7, and anything can happen, but here's how it looks right at this instant.
Two things jump out at me. The first thing that jumps out at me is Texas down here playing in the first night. And then the other thing is kind of a dual prong. Missouri and Baylor. Baylor was picked to finish 10th in the preseason polls, and here they are sitting at 3rd. And then Mike Anderson's teams, I'm telling you, you and I laugh. Wherever they're picked in the poll, pick them, put them in that slot, draw next to them, and then move them up 4 slots because they overachieve almost every year. But man, Dave, have you ever anticipated a more competitive tournament than we're going to have next week in Kansas City?
No, because, you know, the X factor is still Texas. and you wonder, will they get their act together? They still have all kinds of talent. Oklahoma with Willie Warren out now. He had surgery yesterday, but Oklahoma can still make some noise.
Yeah, a lot of people can make some noise. How about Texas A&M? They're capable of beating anybody in the conference, but you know, interesting. Texas, we circle them and we talk about them, and I keep thinking that they're going to emerge, that they're going to come around. But boy, they are running out of time.
All right, more of the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report inside Studio 66 when we return with the Jayhawks leading the Wildcats by 7. Welcome back to the Alberto Beef Jerky halftime report inside Studio 66, and from Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, it's the second-ranked Kansas Jayhawks holding off the 5th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats 45-38. Phillips 66 proud to be the presenting sponsor of Big 12 basketball. The next time you're on empty, fill up with Phillips 66 gasoline. Specially formulated to clean fuel injectors, increase performance, and above all, help maximize mileage. Phillips 66, it's hard-working gas. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong along with Reed Geddes. Reed, so many times when you get a matchup like this, the game just simply doesn't live up to its advanced billing. Well, this one has.
Yeah, it's been a terrific basketball game, exactly what we expected. We thought that Kansas would come out quick. They would deliver a punch to Kansas State. The question was, would they be able to absorb that punch and get up and fight back? And boy, did they ever. That was a terrific first half. A lot of foul trouble. Will be a lot of chess moves in the second half. Game may be decided by foul trouble.
So, Reed, let's check out the first half highlights then, brought to you by Shelter Insurance.
Jacob Pullen was outstanding. He was 3 of 5 from the three-point line, finished the first half with 15 points, and we've talked about it a lot during the first half. Wally Judge, terrific energy off of the bench for the Wildcats. Good job following baskets. One of the game plans for the Wildcats was frustrate Sherron Collins, and they did. He was only 1 for 9 from the floor. And then the other thing that surprised us, Cole Aldridge, only 2 field goal attempts in the first half. Xavier Henry got an early foul trouble, but came back and finished with 15 points for the Jayhawks.
Shelter Insurance for your auto, home, and life. Seek shelter today. This one's still up for grabs. Kansas State with a great comeback to get back in this game. Can Kansas hold them off? It's 45-38, and the second half is coming up next.
What can I say? I've got discriminating taste.
It's true.
I never thought that I would find the one, you know, and I mean, I found ones in the past that I liked, but none that I really loved.
Until now?
Until now. It's awesome.
Do you love the taste of your beer this much?
We still on for tonight, right?
Well, you could. Try the great Pilsner taste of a triple hops brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness.
Well, Kansas leads this one 45-38 at the half. We'll check out our first half numbers brought to you by Papa John's. And Reed, when you look at the numbers from the first half, what stands out?
I'll tell you what jumps out at me right there, 52%. Only 2 opponents of the Kansas Jayhawks in the last 103 opponents have shot over 50%. And both those games happened this year. Baylor here in Allen Fieldhouse, and then last Saturday at Oklahoma State.
I think if you ask Coach Self, he'd be very disappointed in the way his team is playing defense, especially coming off that game against Oklahoma State where they allowed the Cowboys to shoot 60% in that game.
You know, but it's different. In Oklahoma State game, the Cowboys were so comfortable running in their offense. In this game, it's different. It's all in transition. Another number jumps out at you is that rebounding, 20-13. We talked about that was one of the keys, one of the edge keys to the game for Bill Self and his Jayhawks.
And perhaps the reason Kansas has the lead, they have really taken advantage of 8 turnovers from the Wildcats. So Frank Martin, his final instructions to his team as we check in with Melissa Knowles, who was eavesdropping and talking to Frank Martin about his strategy for the second half. Melissa?
Well, Dave, he told me that during the first half, defensively, they did not start out the way that they wanted to, but the reason they were able to go on that run towards the end of the first half is that they settled down. They made Kansas pass the ball more. In the second half, expect them to do the same thing, guard really closely on Kansas and to pass the ball a lot themselves. He said they were holding the ball way too long.
Thanks, Melissa. So the adjustments have been made by these 2 coaches, and now it's up to the players.
Well, and it's what we talked about. At one point, Kansas State had 0 assists and 7 turnovers. So what Melissa said is a good adjustment for Kansas State.
You wonder about Aldridge. What will he do in the second half? Will he get more than 2 shot opportunities? And you also wonder about Collins, who was 1 for 9. Who else will step up for Kansas State? They got tremendous performances from Wally Judge and Jacob Pullen in that first half. Sutton has it swatted away. Collins trying to save it. It goes out of bounds. It'll stay with K-State.
Oh, what a terrific block by Cole Aldridge. Came weak side, and I'm telling you, he got that shot at the exact apex of the arc. I mean, he jumped up and got that thing right at the perfect spot. Watch him come from the backside. Boy, that's a beautiful block.
So Cole Aldridge with his first block of the night. He now has 107 this year. It's a record for KU. A whistle and a foul. The Jayhawks had a breakaway, but the foul came at half court. The foul here is on Jacob Pullen, and he has just picked up his 3rd.
Now, one of the reasons we thought it was so important for Kansas State to stay close in the first half is they have been so much better in the second half. Look at those numbers.
Unreal.
3-point field goal percentage, 21 and 51 difference for Frank Martin. You know what? You look at those numbers, what a compliment to Frank Martin and his staff, and that testifies to halftime adjustments.
Collins still missing from the outside. Morris saves it, but to Pullen, who pulls up for a 3. Tipped out. Collins has got the long rebound. Sherron Collins 1 for 10 from the field.
That was nice transition defense by Jacob Pullen on Sherron Collins. Took him from the middle of the court all the way to the sideline.
I think that was a pass to Aldridge, and he looked up for the rebound. Collins, by the way, too, is 0 for 5 from 3-point range. Look at that effort by Marcus Morris.
That's a terrible passing angle for Denny Clemente. Interesting, a little sloppy coming out of the locker room by both teams.
Taylor, offensive charge on Tyshawn Taylor, and he has just picked up his 3rd foul.
Offensive foul call by number 10.
When you're going against a zone, if you get to the paint, you ought to jump stop and go straight up. And against both these teams, you're not going to be able to dribble, penetrate, and get all the way to the rim.
So Taylor has to sit with his 3rd foul. And Brady Morningstar takes his spot. Kelly, who didn't play much in that first half, picked up 3 fouls. Clemente sealed up by Morningstar. A fight for the basketball. Kelly's got it.
Boy, howdy.
And a blocking foul on Morris.
Look, the fans don't like it. That's the second time Denny Clemente has taken a hard hedge and run into the help defender to draw the foul. Watch him lower his shoulder. Morris steps out, and that's a good call. And that's exactly what Denny Clemente should do. You lower your shoulder and you initiate the contact. Make the officials make that call.
And I think that's what the fans react to, is that lowering of the shoulder. But you're right, Morris was moving.
Well, it's not a foul if there's no contact, so you got to go make contact.
Clemente with a runner off the glass. There's Cologne with a follow.
Well, the Wildcats just attack the rim.
That's their 8th offensive rebound of the game. Pullen beats Morningstar to the basket.
Boy, I was just about to brag on the great ball movement by Kansas when Jacob Pullen sticks his hand out in a passing lane and gets a deflection steal.
4 straight points to start the second half for the Wildcats. They pulled it within 3. Aldridge bumped on the play. No foul called. Not that there should have been one. He misses the hook shot. Now Clemente pulls up for 3 to tie the game. Wow! Denny Clemente hits a huge 3, and just like that, 7 straight points by the Wildcats to tie the game at 45. And we're back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. The Big 12 Network and ESPN would like to thank our corporate partners, Dr. Pepper, Chick-fil-A, Motel 6, and O'Reilly Auto Parts. So it didn't take long for the Wildcats to knock this one up. Look at this. In less than 3 minutes, 7 straight points by the Wildcats, and we've got a brand new game at 45.
Interesting, Denny Clemente hit that big shot. You think it's a big momentum switch, and he's over there on the bench coming out of that timeout. He must be gassed. Kansas not doing a very good job attacking the zone here in the second half.
Coach Self told Melissa Knowles about that as he was going to the locker room. You'd have thought they'd have made a few better judgments and adjustments in this second half. And how about Morningstar? That's a big adjustment. Cologne after the air ball from Pullen. Morningstar has got the ball. Here comes Sherron Collins. That's a shot he probably would have taken had he not been 0 for 5 from three-point range in this game. Henry thought he was bumped on the play. That's an air ball. Here comes Pullen. That's an offensive charge on Sutton. And that'll be his third foul.
Offensive foul called on number 23, Dominic Sutton. His third personal foul. Second team foul.
Well, nice job moving his feet by Sherron Collins. And boy, that's one of those calls that's tough to make when you watch it in replay slow motion. But Sherron Collins might have gotten away with one.
Morningstar. And getting there just a tad late was Luis Cologne, who's called for the foul. So Morningstar's three have given Kansas the edge again. And Frank Martin will huddle up the Wildcats. Welcome back to Allen Fieldhouse for the Jayhawks. Have a three-point advantage. Bill Self spending this entire timeout trying to diagram plays for KU against the zone of K-State.
Just not getting very good looks. I mean, they're swinging the ball around the perimeter, but taking shots that they can get at any point in the shot clock. They're taking them too early. The ball needs to go inside and then come back out.
Today's game brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. So the Jayhawks right now feeling the brunt of Kansas State's great comeback in this contest.
You know, it's interesting, so much talk and excitement about this game leading into it, and I heard a lot of people speculating they thought it was going to be Sherron Collins and the Jayhawks in a blowout. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe you haven't been paying attention, but I didn't expect a blowout under any stretch of the imagination.
One of the things Coach Self was worried about, and he told us before this game, was with all the emotion surrounding this game for Sherron Collins, what kind of game was he going to have? And so far anyway, and there's still a lot of script to be written, 1 for 10 for Collins in this game, including 0 for 5 from three-point land.
Coming out of that timeout, Kansas was back in that triangle and 2. That was perfect execution against the triangle and 2 by the Wildcats.
Reed for a 3. Wide open look. Reed 2 for 3 from three-point range.
Still in a triangle and 2, playing man-to-man on Jacob Pullum and Denny Clemente.
Cologne trying to get free of Aldridge. That won't go. And a whistle and a foul as there's some activity outside the paint with Morris tangled up.
Well, they called a double foul.
Yep. I think Jamar Samuels, the Wildcat, who's down on the court. I believe they have called a double foul here.
Much to the left of your screen, they get tangled out. Nice box out that time. And yeah, the left arm of Morris came down and hit Samuels across the throat.
Morris with his third, but more importantly for the Wildcats, Samuels, who fouled out of the earlier meeting, he has 4.
Not sure what Samuels did to get that foul called. They called a double foul. He had inside position. Morris wrapped his arm around him and slung him down to the ground. I don't know what Samuels did to get a foul called. That's what Frank Martin's asking also. Watch again and see Samuels. He's got inside position to the left of your screen, and watch Morris take his arm, wrap it around him, and throw him down.
Right away, the double foul called. But boy, it didn't look like Samuels was just fighting for position, and he was collared by Marcus Morris.
Did they change the call? Now Bill Self's furious.
Looks like they're going to go to the monitor. Mark Whitehead wants to go now to the monitor to check this out.
We can't see what happens as Samuels is going down. I don't know whether he grabs onto him. Oh, I think they just said he pushed back and knocked him over, but I think he's already fallen. Look to the other side of it. He steps in, gets inside position. Morris wraps his arms around it. Boy, howdy, I don't know what Jamar Samuels did to get that double foul.
They have not erased the double foul. It still stands. Samuels with his fourth, the third on Marcus Morris. And there you see the activity between Morris and Samuels fighting for position, going for this rebound.
Well, Vern Harris is watching the play the entire way. You see the action going on underneath the basket, and he's watching those two.
They're not going to the monitor to see if it was a double foul or not. You can't do that.
Can't do that.
They're going to the monitor to see who had possession when the double foul was called. It's not a team possession on this, so now they go to the arrow to decide.
That's possession Jayhawks. That's what they're explaining over there to Frank Martin and his staff.
So a wry smile from Frank Martin, who can't be excited at all about any of that development.
Well, let me read Frank's mind. Frank's saying, wait a second, my guy gets thrown down, he gets called for a foul, and we lose the ball?
That's the way it was called, and Samuel's sitting over on the bench shaking his head, and we'll see how long he sits as he's picked up his fourth foul. Plus he's sitting over there and it looks like a little bit of agony as well. Reed, with the way Collins has struggled out of this zone, can they kind of forget about
I would. I think
Collins?
that's a great
Can you forget about Collins because he struggled from the outside? Markieff Morris with an offensive rebound and a fresh 35. See, Collins not even looking to shoot. From the short corner, Markieff Morris. He's got 10.
Nice ball movement that time, but the point you made is exactly right, Sean. Collins wasn't even looking at the rim.
Sutton throws up an air ball off of Cologne.
Well, when someone's struggling at perimeter jump shots as much as Sherron Collins is, you flatten out, it allows you to get out and get a hand up and contest Xavier Henry and Tyrell Reed a little bit quicker.
Does Coach Martin have the best glare in basketball?
Depends if he's glaring at you or not.
Poked away. It was tipped out by Pullen.
There's a lot of guys over there in black jerseys that don't think that glare is so great.
Aldridge, quick step on Cologne.
First time he's gotten the ball and gone to the basket.
So after the Wildcats tied it at 45, the Jayhawks have gone on a 10-2 run.
First time that Cole Aldridge has gotten the ball, turned, and just went to the basket. And boy, I tell you what, if I'm the Jayhawks, for the next 5 minutes, I make a steady diet of this play right here. Frank Martin furious with Cologne's lack of defense.
As a post player, could he feel where Cologne is and he took the quick move inside?
Well, one of the things that Kansas does such a good job of is they create the angle on the pass. And so you're exactly right. He feels him on his right shoulder. As the ball's coming to him, he's turning his feet and creating an angle to the basket.
So he's already turning before he even gets the ball.
Kansas coaches call it scoring before you get the ball.
Well, you can join 8 teams at the Cancun Governor's Cup. We invite you to enjoy the sun, sand, and watch teams battle it out on the hardwood. Visit CancunGovernorsCup.com for more information. So Cole Aldridge, who was eerily absent really from the Jayhawk offense in the first half. Watch him move quickly here on Cologne.
Well, right there, look, he catches the ball, and look, his feet are at an angle as opposed to going up and down the lane. That immediately puts Cologne up on that high shoulder and allows him to spin baseline. Very rarely will you see a Kansas Jayhawk post player catch the ball with his feet parallel to the lane and make a move. They always create an angle either going into the lane or going down to the baseline.
So Aldridge with only 4 points and only 2 rebounds in this game. What an answer, though, by Kansas, huh? I mean, here was Kansas State. They took it right to the Jayhawks to start the second half, and KU has responded. And another turnover. Collins, what a pinpoint pass. Wow! Kelly quickly doubled. And a blocking foul on Markieff Morris. That'll be the 5th team foul on Kansas this half.
That is the 3rd time we've seen Denny Clemente on the hard hedge when the screener, the defender of the screener, jumps out the hedge, just initiate the contact and draw the foul.
2nd foul on Markieff Morris. But look at that pinpoint pass. And Xavier Henry with the flush. He's got 17 points. Pulling a guarded 3. There's Judge, and Morris picks up his 3rd foul.
I am so impressed with Wally Judge. He caught that ball, and he did not hesitate. He had it up high, strong, had those elbows out, and went straight back up to the rim.
Here's a question all Wildcat fans are asking right now. Wally Judge had a great performance against Alabama when he scored 15 points. And then went into a mini funk. Came out of it, had 10 points, 9 rebounds against the Jayhawks, and since then has done nothing. You wonder, will he be able to play off of this game as they get into March Madness?
Boy, if he can.
Yeah.
What an added bonus for Frank Martin to bring this kind of energy and athleticism and production off of the bench. Boy, that is a huge silver lining.
Judge misses both free throws. Magruder fighting for the rebound, and a holding call on Marcus Morris.
Now, Pullen and Clemente have been very quiet. Bill Self's done a nice job making adjustments defensively, but I would look for one of those guys to get a shot here pretty quick.
Now do you let Marcus Morris play? He has 4 fouls.
Now Morningstar's going to check back in, and he's got 3 fouls.
So as he comes in for Marcus Morris, this a very small lineup now for the Jayhawks.
Xavier Henry moving over to the power forward position.
So the Twins are both sitting. Xavier Henry, he moves to the 4 with Aldridge the 5. And then Morningstar, Collins, and Reed.
Xavier Henry certainly strong enough to move and play power forward. The question is, in their offensive sets, Xavier Henry is so deadly out there on the perimeter. Will they move him to the high post, which takes away his perimeter shooting?
Well, the adjustments these coaches are having to make, and largely due to the foul trouble in this contest. Henry answers with a rebound, his 3rd of the game.
They're going to go 4 out, 1 in. No, look, there's flash into the high post, Xavier Henry. Boy, they are really spreading that zone out.
Morningstar for a 3. Magruder with a rebound. Kelly, spin move, but there was Aldridge who fouled. 2nd one on Cole Aldridge.
Now this will be interesting because I didn't like what I saw down there for Kansas. They doing that 4 out, 1 in, did a lot of passing, but didn't accomplish anything, and then took a ill-advised 3-pointer, and then immediately on the other end, the Wildcats attacking the basket in transition.
By the way, the story inside the story, 18 fouls on the Jayhawks this half, 3 on the Wildcats.
You know, a little surprised we haven't seen Thomas Robinson off of the bench.
Coach Self stays with his smaller lineup right now. Robinson over there cooling his heels. He hasn't even taken his warm-up off. Kelly. He's able to hit both free throws. Morningstar saved that one from the front row. Inside Aldrich. Again, a quicker move. Spinning on Judge. Tipped away. Kelly was there. Clemente for the three in transition.
Boy, I'll tell you what, every time Kansas State needs a big basket, it's pulling a Clemente, pulling up for a three in transition.
This is punch and counter punch. And Martavius Irving caught with a foul. Kind of bailed out Sherron Collins, who was falling to the court. So we've got a timeout as the inside presence of the Wildcats leading to a transition three, and they're back within 4. We're back after this from Phillips 66. Well, the Wildcats have scored the last 6 points in this one to pull back within 4. Phillips 66 proud to be the presenting sponsor of Big 12 basketball. The next time you're on empty, fill up with Phillips 66 gasoline. Specially formulated to clean fuel injectors, increase performance, and above all, help maximize mileage. Phillips 66 hard-working gas. One of the students here at the University of Kansas camping out. They said 266 different groups, and they're groups of 30. Someone from your group has to be present at all times, and they've been camping out for a week waiting to come into this contest. And here is that student section. All that perseverance and time spent sleeping out at Allen Fieldhouse.
Can you imagine having to text your 29 best friends going, dude, I was late, sorry.
Oh, we fell out of position.
Yeah, I know we were number 5, but we're number 230 now.
11.5 remaining in this one. The alley-oop. That was sent into the front row, and Wally Judge with a hard foul on Xavier Henry.
One of the keys for Kansas State to have a chance against Bill Self's Jayhawks was to frustrate Sherron Collins, and they have done that. Sherron Collins just 1 for 10 in this game, 0 for 5 from behind the three-point line. Jacob Pullen, our other star watch, having an outstanding game.
Pullen with 15 of those 17 points in the first half. You also talked about Kansas limiting second chance points by the Wildcats, and they've done that. Only 5 second chance points for K-State.
And a little bit surprising because K-State has 12 offensive rebounds, but only have converted 5 points off those second chances.
Tavius Irving takes a seat. Pullen will check back in. Kansas State has never led in this contest. They did tie it right after the half. They scored the first 7 points coming out of the break. And then Kansas went on a run to pull back ahead, and that stops a 6-0 run for the Wildcats. With Reed Geddes and Melissa Knowles, Dave Armstrong watching the Classic. Kelly quickly doubled. Pullen lost the handle and then is fouled. Foul here on Aldrich, his 3rd. Kansas has been ranked number 1 in the country for 13 weeks this year. They're number 2 right now. Kansas State has climbed to number 5. There's still a good shot at moving up from a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament to a possible number 1 seed.
Yeah, ranked number 5 for the first time in 48 years for the Wildcats.
Changed the call, the foul not on Aldrich, the call there against Sherron Collins.
That was a good call because he was already falling down when Cole Aldrich came over for the block.
That's the first foul on Collins. So that's a better scenario for the Jayhawks.
Now 19 points for Jacob Pullen and 19 points for Xavier Henry. Ooh, that's a dangerous pass.
Quick recovery by the Wildcats defensively. Henry trying to work off a screen. Looking inside, Aldrich. The mini high-low, if you will. Count the basket and 1.
You know, it's a pretty easy game when you go where you're supposed to go and then you catch the ball and you look where you're supposed to look. Marquise Morris flashes high. Cole Aldridge seals his man. Watch him turn, seal, lock, over the top. As easy as that.
And Curtis Kelly has just picked up his 4th foul.
Now, that was by far the best offensive execution of the game against a zone for the Jayhawks.
The first free throw for Aldridge tonight.
Well, you know, you got to get the ball to get fouled.
He's much more active, though, wouldn't you say, especially over the last 4 minutes of this game?
You know, it's interesting because I thought in the first half he was active and his teammates didn't look for him. Bill Self told Melissa that no, it has more to do with Cole. But look at all that foul trouble for Kansas State.
2 with 4, 2 more with 3. Judge, he's not shy about attacking the basket.
Ooh, that's a walk.
Sutton, he called it. They called the walk. He shuffled his feet.
He made a really nice move. If after the spin he would have just gone up, but after the spin he tried to gather himself, and that's a good call.
The 13th turnover for the Wildcats. Kansas has 7.
Well, Denny Clemente's furious about something. He's pointing over at the bench and just yelling. I mean, veins popping on the side of his neck. I wonder what it is that he sees that he wants run.
Collins gives it up. Taylor doesn't like the 3. Collins will try one. His first one of the game. He might be 1 for 5 from 3-point range, but he knows how to seize a moment. For 5, I mean, from 3-point range. 2 for 11 overall. Judge has it blocked by Aldridge. It'll stay with the Wildcats.
Now the defensive effort has gotten so much better for the Kansas Jayhawks. Clean shots getting harder and harder to come by. Looks like Denny Clemente may be cramping. He's leaning up against the goal and stretching that calf out.
Jamar Samuels has checked back in for K-State, playing with 4 fouls. Tough 3-pointer by Pullen with 4 on the shot clock. And Samuels able to track down the rebound.
Well, credit Wally Judge for that rebound. He went at it so hard, was able just to poke the ball and get it loose.
Kansas doing a good job of coming over those ball screens, aren't they? On the floor. Judge with a good hustle again. Magruder, no. Samuels keeps it alive.
Well, that was a great offensive rebound. Maybe over the back, but boy, the Wildcats attacking the glass.
There's a key no call there. That could have been Samuels' 5th. And a walk by Samuels. You can't even hear the whistle right now.
This move and this call is a point of emphasis. Tyler Hansbrough used to do this move, and I really think they waited until he graduated to change the rule. They don't allow this reverse pivot. You catch it, you step out and reverse pivot, and that is a travel, and that's a point of emphasis, and that's a good call.
Samuel saying, I got away with that before. What happened?
Yeah, Tyler graduated, Jamar. Sorry about that.
14 turnovers now on the Wildcats. Collins, more aggressive offensively now. That 3 loosened him up.
Yeah, it's just a matter of confidence seeing the ball go in, and boy, he is really pumped up right now.
Timeout, Kansas State. Tonight's Big 12 Network game brought to you by Phillips 66, hardworking gas. Papa John's, score Papa John's nothing but net special. All large pizzas just $10. By Motel 6, the official economy lodging partner of the Big 12. Oberto Beef Jerky, who reminds you to eat like an alpha. Shelter Insurance, for your auto, home, and life. Seek shelter today. By Whataburger, just like you like it. By the Cancun Governor's Cup, a great place to find sun, sand, and college hoops in December. And by the Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge. Well, Sherron Collins and the Jayhawks pulling away a little bit on a 10-2 run. You see the 13 points for Collins, but he was 1 for 10, and he's hit his last 2 shots.
Yeah, 0 for 5 from behind the three-point line, knocked one down. Suddenly the defense closes out a little bit out of control and allows him to dribble, penetrate for his next basket. Well, Kansas State needs a good, clean shot at the basket this trip down the floor.
Whistle and a foul. Luis Colon is pulled down. And we've got a timeout. Thomas Robinson, who checks in for the first time, picked up that foul. Could it be a special ending for Sherron Collins at Allen Fieldhouse?
The Big 12 tournament is right around the corner, and more exciting Big 12 hoops action comes your way Saturday, March 6th. First at 12:30 Central, the Nebraska Cornhuskers roll into Stillwater, looking to upset the Big 12's leading scorer, James Anderson, and the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Then at 3, Red Raiders of Texas Tech rumble in the Boulder to slug it out with the Buffaloes of Colorado. All the action gets underway Saturday, March 6th at 12:30 Central, only on the Big 12 Network.
Well, the Jayhawks have won 26 straight home season finales. They love to give their seniors that stage where they give a speech, and Sherron Collins, the lone senior on this team, with Mario Little redshirting till next year. And Collins came out before the game, Reed, an emotional setting here. He and Coach Self with a huge hug. And Coach Self has already said that Sherron Collins has been one of the most impactful players that he has ever coached in his career. Then Collins came out, and he wasn't very good in the first part of this game. In fact, he was kind of lousy. He was 1 for 10.
This history will finish with 4 Big 12 regular season titles. He's got 2 Big 12 championships, 3 Sweet 16s, 2 Elite 8s, a national championship, and still counting. How's that for a career?
Not bad.
You know, it's interesting. Bill Self talked about, he used the word impactful. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about his place in history. JoJo White, Wilt Chamberlain, Danny Manning, Paul Pierce. You know, Sherron Collins may not be the best player that's ever played here, but you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that has been more important to the teams that he's played on than Sherron has been.
Well, Reed, from the time he walked onto campus, he said, look, as a guard, judge me by wins and losses. And if you judge him on that, you'd have to give him an A+.
Yeah, and then some.
Well, let's see if Kansas State has another comeback in them. They've been fighting uphill all game long. Clemente throws one up, and Markeith Morris with the rebound. Seems like KU's defense on K-State has really bottled up the Wildcats.
I was just thinking that if Kansas State wants to get back in this game, they need to do it in transition. Quick shots in transition. The half-court defense has been too good.
Pass thrown in, and it was last touched by Collins. In fact, listen to this, Reed. 6 of the last 9 K-State points have been on free throws.
Normally, I'd say that was a bad pass that was just thrown to Samuels, but Kansas's defense has locked down so tight down here on the half-court sets that if I'm Kansas State, I start looking for quick early shots almost exclusively in transition.
Well, that 3 points they have that aren't free throws came in transition on a Denny Clemente 3.
Well, you got to make 2-foot shots when you're open.
Well, you do. So an 11-point Jayhawk lead, under 7 minutes to go.
Good trap.
Aldridge. And Samuel's got a hand on it, knocked it out of bounds. It'll stay with KU with 11 to shoot it. The thing though about Aldridge, he got trapped and did not panic there.
Well, he's just so long.
Yeah.
I mean, you take that ball and you stick it up over your head and you're already 7 feet and you extend those long arms. It's hard to trap a guy who's got that much reach on him.
Is that what makes his outlet passes so good?
Yeah, he's so strong, snaps that thing.
Collins, a fadeaway off the glass. Clemente, no. Morris makes it one and done.
The hard thing about taking quick shots is an 11-point lead can get to a 20-point lead in a hurry.
The last 7 points, excuse me, 7 points belong to Sherron Collins for the Jayhawks. By the way, the Wildcats only 1 field goal in the last 10 minutes of this game. Morris, no. Aldridge keeps it alive. Taylor, a 3. And the Jayhawks with their biggest lead of the night. Foul. Samuels working in on Markieff Morris, and Morris signaled for the foul.
Look, this is easier said than done, but when you dribble penetrate against Kansas, you got to know that Cole Aldridge is coming. He's coming from the weak side, and so whoever he runs off and leaves to go try to block a shot, boy, you got to make yourself big. You got to present yourself. You got to stick a hand up and look for whoever he's guarding instead of just running in there and throwing the ball up.
Now Samuels misses a free throw. Who impacts the paint more defensively, Cole Aldridge or Epe Udoh of Baylor?
That's a great question. Both of them average a double-double. The only 2 of the 3, along with Damian James, to average a double-double in the Big 12 this year. And boy, that's a tough question. I think consistently season-long, I'd go with Epe Udoh. Epe Udoh is about to set a Big 12 single-season block shot record. Cole Aldridge has already set a single-season record for Kansas.
Full court pressure. Jayhawks get it across midcourt. Kansas State needs some stops now.
Adjustment, Frank Martin trying something different coming out of that timeout, playing man-to-man.
Aldridge. Little drop step on the double team, and he'll go to the line. Let's see who the foul is called on. It'll be on Judge. That's 3 on him.
Cole Aldridge making a good move, drop stepping over that left shoulder. Look at him catch the ball, check the defense, no double team coming, turns and goes up. Now, it's interesting, Wally Judge had good position on him, was bellied up. I'm not sure why the need to run over and double team him. Ordinarily, Frank Martin doesn't double team inside.
The Jayhawks win tonight. They take the Big 12 title, their 6th straight, and they do it all by their lonesome. If Kansas State can somehow come back for Frank Martin, they still have an outside shot. Well, a good shot, really, with Kansas going to Missouri to share the title. But right now, it looks like Kansas in pulling away with their biggest lead of the game. Pullen goes in and smothered by Aldridge.
Boy, did you see Cole Aldridge retreating so that they couldn't get his body up against him, and then sticks that long out. You won't see better transition defense by a center than that. That was an outstanding defensive play.
Clemente, a 3 that won't go. There's Aldridge. That's his 4th rebound.
You know, it's interesting when you let a kid touch the ball on the offensive end, how often that gets him going on the defensive end as well.
He's had a better second half.
Yes, he has.
Much better. Henry goes in. Nothing there. Gets it back in the corner on a behind-the-back pass by Taylor. Collins. Marcus Morris was there, and Judge with his 4th foul.
Now, Wally Judge is watching the flight of the ball instead of looking for a man to make contact with, and Marcus Morris is just sliding right past him. Sure why Curtis Kelly and Denny Clemente are all up there having a conversation with Marcus Morris. The fundamentals of rebounding, when the ball goes up, you immediately find your man, make contact, seal him, and then go get the ball. If you stand there and with your eyes just follow the flight of the ball, you're not going to get that rebound.
Marcus Morris has had a pedantic game, you would say. 3 points, 3 rebounds, but his brother, Markeith, has picked up the slack, close to a double-double.
But for the fact that Marcus Morris is a sophomore, and I have a fundamental rule that you can't give a sophomore Most Improved Player award, because
why do you have that rule?
Well, because freshmen are supposed to improve when they become sophomores. But for that rule, I would give Marcus Morris Most Improved Player in the league this year.
I think I'd still give it to him.
You're not impressed by the Guinness rule?
I'm not impressed by the rule.
You want to recount a rules committee meeting?
Judge, no. Boy, Kansas is dominating the Wildcats on the glass all of a sudden. And a whistle and a foul call. Frank Martin can't be happy. His team has been outscored 20-4 in the last 8 minutes. Well, the Jayhawks pulling away from the Wildcats in this one, leading 75-57. Great contribution. Our sixth man of the game brought to you by Motel 6 from Markeith Morris with 10 points and 9 rebounds.
Yeah, 1 rebound away from a double-double, and out of those rebounds, 5 of them were on the offensive glass. Great effort off of the bench for Bill Self's Jayhawks.
If Kansas goes on to win this game, and they're certainly looking like they're definitely in the driver's seat now. They're doing it on the defensive end.
Yes,
remember, we talked, Reed, at halftime about only 2 other teams have shot better than 50% this year and over the last several years. Well, how about the second half? Clemente finally gets a field goal. He has the only 2 field goals in the last 12 minutes for the Wildcats. They are shooting just 25% in the second half.
Well, that's what was so unusual about the loss to Oklahoma State. The defensive effort just wasn't there for the Jayhawks. The defense in the second half of this game has been spectacular.
How about that catch? No basket. Foul came first.
Now, nice catch by Cole Aldridge, and did a nice job of not traveling. Took a quick dribble and a pivot. And that's a good call.
That's a call against Dominique Sutton, who has 4 fouls now.
You know, it's interesting, leading into this game, Frank Martin was asked about the importance of it. And he didn't shy away from it. He said, this is the most important game since I've been at Kansas State. And it raised a lot of eyebrows. People thinking, that's too much pressure, and what if you lose? And that's just how Frank Martin coaches. He says, hey, I'm preparing these kids for life. I'm not trying to shield them from having pressure on them. I expect them to perform.
National Coach of the Year?
Well, he's right up there in the discussion. He was a lot of publications had him as the midseason National Coach of the Year. And boy, I tell you what, I'm going to have to give that some thought, but I'm right there with you.
Jim Boeheim would probably be his closest competitor of Syracuse.
Yeah, but did you expect Syracuse to be as good as they are?
Not really. Not to the extent of being a #1 seed and the most dominant team out of the Big East.
See, that's what's so hard about talking about coaches of the year. Do you give it to the guy that exceeds expectations or the guy that you know is going to be great, like Bill Self, and they are great? You know, that's a tough discussion to have.
Well, Coach Self, for the record, thinks that Frank Martin should be Big 12 Coach of the Year and in a 2-man discussion with Boeheim for National Coach of the Year.
Well, that's an endorsement that I would go along with. Kansas State will most likely end up with a #2 seed. The bad loss is defined by losing to a team with a triple-digit RPI. Kansas State has none. An outstanding strength of schedule. Boy, I tell you what,
no kidding.
in the last 2 or 3 years, everyone said, yeah, but look at that strength of schedule. And now you say, look at that RPI and yeah, but and the strength of schedule.
I remember a couple of months ago doing the game where Oklahoma State upset Kansas State in Manhattan. And I remember beforehand, Travis Ford, the coach of the Cowboys, before the game saying, I think Kansas State is the type of team that can reach the Final Four. They are strong, and I agree with you. I think this is a tournament tough team.
Look, there's no question Kansas Jayhawks are going to be one of the top 2 favorites to win the national championship. This loss does not take away or diminish the potential for the Wildcats. The Wildcats are a national championship caliber team.
And the Jayhawks have worn that moniker and worn it well all season long.
See, that's where I come back to Coach of the Year. I mean, you have those expectations coming in. Bill Self's team meets those expectations, and you say, well, you know what? If you're looking for a Coach of the Year, I appreciate the humility of pointing down the court to Frank Martin, his good friend, but Frank may point right back at him and say, right back at you, big fella.
Under 3 minutes to go. Sherron Collins probably ruminating just a little bit about what he wants to say to this sellout crowd. And no one will leave. Except for the several hundred Wildcat fans that are on hand. How about that little move to the basket by Marcus Morris?
Well, you remember about 10 minutes ago, I said I was surprised that people thought it was going to be a blowout. Can I take that back?
Sherron Collins with a foul there. Pullen will go to the line to shoot 2.
6 consecutive Big 12 titles.
It's unreal.
10 out of the
even
13.
The Jayhawks, with all their great history, haven't done that since the 20s.
Bill Self has won 10 conference titles in the last 12 years. Put that into context. That's mind-boggling.
It really is. And they'll hang yet another banner. 2010 Big 12 champions. Look at that. 05, 06, 07, 08, 09. And you can even throw in 02 and 03. What a decade.
Boy, if there's a banner they'd love to add to, there's that second banner.
That's right.
You know, it's funny because in the studio we've talked a lot about the fact that there's so much focus, and understandably so, on March successes that you kind of take for granted the sustained excellence that has been Bill Self's program here in Lawrence. And I think that's a disservice.
Reed, how will this game be talked about on the national stage in the next few days?
You know, it's a good question. I think people will say this is what we expected. You know, you got a 58-game home winning streak. They've dominated this series. And then especially coming off of the loss to Oklahoma State.
How about that runner by Tyshawn Taylor? Clemente goes into the land of the Giants and comes up empty. The celebration begins at Allen Fieldhouse. The Jayhawks a minute and a half away from the outright Big 12 title and the #1 seed at the Phillips 66 Big 12 championship. And perhaps the #1 maybe overall seed in the NCAA tournament. And oh, by the way, the 59th straight home win. Wow. Their all-time record is 62. They'll have a chance to break that next November.
Kansas has not lost a season finale now in over a quarter of a century.
It was Ted Owens last year at Kansas, the last time they lost a season finale.
You called that game, didn't you?
No. And a timeout by Coach Self. He just wants to make some substitutions to honor his senior guard, Sherron Collins. Let's check out our most valuable player of the game, brought to you by Sonic. Xavier Henry, Reed, another outstanding performance. He's been averaging in his last 6 games 18 points. He's one better than that tonight.
He had 15 points at halftime, was almost perfect, came out smoking. Remember, he got in foul trouble, sat down for a little while, and even sitting out almost half of the first half, still 15 points. An outstanding game by Xavier Henry. Showed a lot of versatility. I mean, the Morrises got in foul trouble. Bill Self slid Xavier Henry into the 4 spot, and he did a nice job.
You could make the argument that Xavier Henry is an entirely different player since the last time these two teams met. Henry had just 6 points against the Wildcats, did not even attempt a 3. Tonight he's 3 for 4 from three-point land and 19 points overall. So as the Jayhawks get ready for this March run, they got Xavier Henry back firing on all cylinders like he did earlier this season.
Freshman of the year, Alec Burks, Avery Bradley, Xavier Henry.
I think it's between Burks and Henry.
I'm going with Xavier Henry. Boy, I'm glad I don't have any votes this year because there are some tough decisions to be made.
Collins.
This is an intentional foul in order to make a substitution for Sherron Collins.
Two guys standing there that have really defined Jayhawk basketball over the last 3 years. Sherron will get the hugs of his entire team and of all of Jayhawk Nation. Jeff Withey will first substitute for Marcus Morris.
Tyshawn Taylor fouled out, and Bill Self was trying to milk the entire time to get an ovation for Sherron Collins, and now a little bit of confusion as to who's eligible to be on the floor and who's not.
So Taylor fouling out. Marcus Morris was leaving the court, and then he realized, wait,
I've got to stay
for Tyshawn Taylor.
Now will be the substitution in between free throws for Sherron Collins.
And we'll let you enjoy the moment with the fans here at Allen Fieldhouse.
Brady Morningstar replacing Xavier Henry.
Kansas State calls a timeout. I think they got tired of the steady parade.
I think you're
coming into this
right.
game with Clemente standing on the line.
Listen, it's not disrespectful. It's just to give Sherron Collins the ovation that he deserves, and it's a nice way to honor him. But I'm not sure, I don't blame Frank Martin. You know, after a while when they keep parading, he's going to call a timeout. Now, that's not going to stop what's going to happen, but interesting.
The last two guys to leave the court here will be Cole Aldrich and then Sherron Collins.
Last game for Sherron Collins in Allen Fieldhouse. What a career. The winningest player in Kansas Jayhawk history. Wilt Chamberlain, JoJo White,
Danny Manning,
Paul Pierce, Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich. Boy, the winningest player in Kansas history. And I bet no one's more proud of him than that man right there, Danny Manning.
And there he goes.
He replaces
Sherron Collins.
Sherron Collins.
Bill Self and Sherron Collins have really become over the last 4 years like father and son. And Kansas will dribble out the clock And the Jayhawks have sole possession of the Big 12 title.
Sherron Collins came back in hopes of chasing one more national championship, and that dream is very much still alive.
Celebration at Allen Fieldhouse as Bill Self's Jayhawks pull away in the second half and win this one going away 82-65 over a very game and very competitive Wildcat team that fell behind early, tied the game to start the second half, but they couldn't weather the storm. And when Sherron Collins hit the three and then followed with a couple of more buckets, that seemed to help the Jayhawks pull away.
Defensively, in the second half, Xavier Henry and his teammates were simply outstanding. What a class scene that is. Frank Martin giving Sherron Collins a hug and a pat on the back of the head.
Let's go to Melissa Knowles.
Coach, with that win, that's your 59th straight home win, and you just clinched the outright Big 12 title. What did your team do to keep things going in that second half?
Well, our zone offense wasn't very good, but we had some guys step up and make some big plays. In the second half, we guarded. They kicked our butt pretty good on the glass, but our guys competed, and it's a special place and a special night for a special player.
Last night that you'll ever see Sherron Collins play here at Allen Fieldhouse. What do you hope the lasting impact he'll have on the team will be?
Well, I just hope his legacy is going to be how he wins and how he likes to compete and how tough he is. And, that's rubbed off on everybody else. Very few coaches get a chance to coach a guy like him.
Congratulations on the win.
Right, thanks.
Thanks a lot, Melissa. Yeah, very few coaches get to coach a guy like Sherron Collins, who has guided the Jayhawks to yet another Big 12 title at 14-1 in conference play. Reed, put this one in perspective.
Again, it's just hard to imagine the success that Kansas has had. 6 consecutive Big 12 titles. They have won 10 Big 12 titles out of the 13 since the inception of the league. Just a sustained excellence that is very hard to find enough adjectives to describe.
Kansas State with a home game remaining against Iowa State with a chance to seal the number 2 seed in the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament as we get you back to Melissa.
Coach told me before the game that it was important for the team to send you out in style. How do you think they did?
They did wonderful. Got a little shaky there during the game, but it was wonderful. There's no better way to go out with a win, especially against a rivalry. I love my teammates.
You could tell because they love you too. Every time you walked out into the court, it was a standing ovation from your teammates and from everybody here in Allen Fieldhouse. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm at home. It makes me feel like I'm comfortable. Everybody around here loves me. There's no better place in America to play.
Congratulations on the win, Sherron.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. I think we just got a taste of what he wants to say to the sellout crowd.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He ought to just walk out and say it again. This was a terrific basketball game. Let's don't let the lopsided win take away from Kansas State and what they've accomplished. They will still be a number 2 seed. Next week, they will still be a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament.
The hardware getting set to be passed out here at Allen Fieldhouse, and then will come an emotional speech from Sherron Collins. So once again, our final score from Allen Fieldhouse. The number 2 ranked Kansas Jayhawks 82. The number 5 ranked Kansas State Wildcats 65. For Reed Geddes, Melissa Knowles, and our entire Big 12 Network crew, I'm Dave Armstrong. Tune in Saturday, another exciting Big 12 weekend kicking off with Nebraska and Oklahoma State at 12:30. For more information, log on to ESPNplus.com. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN Regional Television, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports. So long from Lawrence.